Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Market Check, brought to you by Because Bitcoin. I got to say, Max, I love the new lead-in we do before every show. We have this super dramatic countdown from 30 seconds. Really gets me, prepped and ready to talk about markets. And we're gonna have some fun debates, poke some fun at each other, and everything else in between. But yeah, guys, I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. We appreciate y'all for being here on this Monday morning and supporting us. Hopefully, you can come away with some useful information as far as it pertains to, how the market could potentially trade over the rest of the month, the rest of the week, and everything. Like I said, I'm going to repeat myself here, but everything in between. Just kind of a brief overview of the markets. Bitcoin is sitting on support. The title of this video is, Bitcoin is about to do something crazy. And we'll talk about, why that is potentially the case here in just a second. But, some more, commentary across the board. It does seem as though equities have reversed the futures open dump that they saw last night. And so far they are green today to start the week. We'll talk about the implications of what that means for trading equities this week, especially, some of these mid and small caps, in the event that Bitcoin or SPX continues to range. The leading assets have just been very low volatility. And that's why at the end of the day, we have, I feel appropriately named this episode, Bitcoin is about to do something crazy, right? We are at historically low volatility levels on Bitcoin. That means we're probably, in my opinion, personally, I think we're only going to break out of it through two ways, which is, one, aggressive upside, or two, a black swan event. And I would obviously not prefer the latter. But I think the former, it is kind of interesting to observe Bitcoin have, the crypto market has had quite a few catalysts over the last 2 or 3 months. And so far, it hasn't quite responded. I'll admit, in the way I expected, I kind of thought that we would have already, seen a response to some of these catalysts that would take the market higher, but it just hasn't responded yet. And especially I go back to the XRP case. That was a win in the short term for crypto. You saw a lot of really gnarly pumps on altcoins, but we have, at the end of the day, retraced those pumps. So I am trying to derive kind of how I want to interpret crypto here. Is this a place of, is this weakness that we're seeing a result of, a trend coming to an end, or simply is this weakness that we're seeing a result of conditions that we've seen in previous bear markets and maybe a precursor to a much more volatile move to the upside? And I'd love to talk about that later on this show, but I will leave it at that for now, guys. I'm going to go ahead and open the floor up to Max. I hope you had a great weekend. We can get into some charts. Max, I'd love to know how you're viewing the market, especially from a Bitcoin lens, through the lens of the title of the episode, as well as, some of the things that we're seeing in equities today, such as the reversal thus far, and maybe anything else that you've seen in regards to the dollar and TLT.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Will. Hello, everybody listening. Thank you guys so much for choosing to spend your Monday here with us, Because Bitcoin YouTube. Look, what's there to really say, right? We're seeing historical levels of volatility suppression or price compression right now. There's really not a whole lot to dissect directly, but if history is any indication, typically after these lulls are sort of like these calm periods where derivatives traders are just kind of getting chopped to bits and everybody's kind of like, we're about to break up, we're about to break down, and everybody's, just like firing back at each other while we're in a 500-point range. It extends a little bit longer than everybody thinks. And the move to follow is often more explosive and will catch more people with their pants down, per se, than anybody really anticipated. So, look, what am I expecting? Well, everybody thinks it's going to be this week. I guess I kind of hope it's this week, but it wouldn't surprise me to see this even push out into next week, where Bitcoin basically just kind of ranges between like 29.7 and maybe 29.3, and you kind of get these like fake wicks up, wicks down. Maybe it's waiting for a catalyst. Maybe it's waiting for somebody big to puke their positions. From what I'm seeing, it appears as though more people are long during this range than short from the data that I have access to. It's not anything overwhelming, but I am seeing more long interest here than short. And by the way, that isn't necessarily indicating, with a high degree of certainty which way this thing should necessarily break. I have my own personal biases, which if you've caught any of the previous episodes or maybe you're in our Discord, you know which way I lean. At least over like the next 6 to 9 months or so, and we'll get into that again today as well. But I will hint with this. I will lead with this. I am overwhelmingly on defense right now. And just to clarify that point, that doesn't mean that I won't, if we start to break up, pick up a stupid amount of long exposure in a very, very quick period of time to play that move. But this is not an environment which my system allows me to basically throw a lot of money at basically what I would view as a coin toss. This is basically a 50-50 right here, whether the impulse is up or down, especially while we're this far extended. And again, according to my system, my indicators, a little bit overheated with the seasonal headwinds approaching and some other sort of risk-off signals that we're seeing in traditional finance. So anyways, I'll leave it there because I want to leave it for like the discussion. We're going to have a long show today, lots to discuss, lots to go back and forth about. But, I'm not aggressively positioned either way right now. I do have some positions which we're going to get into, but I will just say this. I'll leave it at this one more time. I'm overwhelmingly on defense right now. I'm overwhelmingly on defense, but I don't know. I mean, look, there's a lot of very smart people that are like, long to the max. They're just like, we're going to 40K. Equities are going, to all-time highs. We might even have one of these guys on our show right here today, Mr. Forbes himself. I think that one of those got sent to jail, or maybe both. I know Elizabeth was in some trouble as well, but I haven't gotten much of a follow-up with her yet.
Yeah, I don't know. One's busy dealing with witness tampering charges. Really, in reality, they should be dealing with embezzling billions of dollars of people's funds.
When I think of witness tampering, it makes me think of like those old mafia movies, where they like intimidate witnesses. And I'm just picturing Sam like getting in someone's face, and it just doesn't have the same effect as like an old mobster movie. I don't know what he did to tamper, man. He probably sent him like an anonymous message,
No, he was leaking her address and stuff. Like he was leaking all of her personal information. Was what he was doing. It's actually cringy as hell. But I don't know. I just find it so like he did this for a while too. The whole time he's been out. It's like, okay, you guys have let him stay out for like an entire year, and he's been witness tampering the whole time, and now you're just now getting to it. And I feel like these are going to be the only charges he's going to see. I'm just going to be real about it. Like, it's absolutely disgusting what our government has done. Like, anybody else would have been locked away, thrown away the key by now for that type of embezzling.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But
I want to pull up some charts, man. I want to dive in a little bit here. Let me see if I can get my trading view to pull up.
I want to get right into this this debate on Bitcoin and SPX as well, because what is the possibility here that SPX just kind of goes sideways for a few months?
I mean, what's the debate?
Let me dive into this quick. All right, so this is the S&P 500 futures. Give me one moment here. I'm gonna speak for a while, so we're gonna hydrate up. Okay.
That cup look invisible, by the way.
The cup looked. I didn't drink anything. What are you talking about? I'm just hanging out by my pool, man. Can you see behind me? I didn't do anything. All right.
I like it.
So here's a high time frame chart of the S&P 500. This is basically just ES. That's the continuous futures contract. Something that we've spent a good deal of time focusing on was this August 2022 high right here. All right. It was this level right here. We basically when we finally broke through this 4,300 level, I mean, you can see that. I'll turn this off here. You can see that we didn't really come back and like really mount this high time frame level. Like this was such a hot level for us, such an important point in the chart. And we never came back after, again, being stuffed a couple times, spending a year below it. We never came back and actually retested like what you would have wanted to see in a very like healthy market. Again, it can take a little bit of time, right? You would have wanted to see this retest, and then you look for longs there, something like that. We didn't get that. All right. We literally gapped up. Like here's the gap. You can literally see it. Huge gap up. Just delete that. Huge gap right here. And we've got this 4,300 level, which is literally like, this is like mega demand. Okay. Like this was all, looking back, accumulation, right? We'll make this green. And we might even draw mega demand on there. Mega demand. And we're going to put that in the biggest font that TradingView offers. This was mega demand. So we broke out of mega demand. At least it's mega demand for now. And it wouldn't be crazy to see us kind of come back and actually just retest demand. We never even retested it, right? And I actually think it'd be better for the bulls if we did come back to retest it a little bit. So I'm kind of thinking that 4,300 level gets tagged. All right. Now, what would like the setup be in theory? All right. And I'll just...
Matt, can you throw the normie trend up?
Of course I can.
The normie trend.
That's Will's new favorite expression. He heard me say normie trend line, and it's like, it just like clicked with him. He's like, I love the normie, man. I love the normie trend. You're talking about this normie trend, Will, right?
There you go. There's your normie.
Confluence with normie trend will make this thicker. We're going to go text. We're going to go normie trend line. We're going to put that right in the middle. We're going to put that in huge font as well. We're going to put this in the center. Actually, we're going to go bottom. Normie trend line.
Basically, your trend to up thrush right there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of confluence over here. And I'll just put this. We're just going to label it out so it's just abundantly clear what we're talking about here.
You know what's funny though? Like if you were to pull up when you get done, you can finish this first. But like I would say, throw Mara up when you're done.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So what would I be looking at for like a short setup potentially? I'd be basically looking at like somewhere right in here. All right. Like if we came back right in here, this is basically like mid time frame, high time frame supply, like this level, all that stuff above, it wouldn't be a bad move to do something like, this, and then look for, something like right here. And it would literally just be like a little cool off. Like this is still a very structurally sound uptrend. Like look how far extended we are off of our trend, off of our normie trend, as the doctor prescribed. It wouldn't even be that crazy. We'd come back, we'd fill in this gap right here. We'd retest 4,300, which was, again, like our concrete wall, which we never came back to retest. We'd maybe touch our normie trend line again. These are VWAPs right here. So we've got a VWAP from the all-time high and VWAP from basically like our capitulatory low in 2022. They're right here. So, maybe it's possible they creep up. Maybe we hit them. Maybe we don't. I just keep them on there because I think it's a good, like, it can kind of help you determine like how far off of the trend you are. Like, you can see here, like we were really far off of our, our VWAP here, very far off of our VWAP. So again, it's just something I like to keep on there as a visual, but I'm really more focused on this 4,300. So I'm kind of looking for something like this, truthfully. And, it's all about the reaction when we get there, but you could probably do something like this, truthfully, and it would literally just be like a month long, like kind of cool off. And it would, again, line up kind of with like August, September seasonality that we've seen. Not really that great, for equities. And at the same time, there's some confluence there with Bitcoin. August and September have been the two worst performing months for Bitcoin. So if we got something like this for ES, and I know, again, the title of today's show is Bitcoin's about to do something crazy. I think what happens on this chart, the S&P 500 futures, is going to be very pertinent to what can potentially happen with Bitcoin's price. So like if I go over to Bitcoin now, what would that potentially mean for Bitcoin? I think if we saw, if we saw equities do something like this and come back, fill in this gap, 4,300 normie trend line, so much confluence, what would that potentially mean for Bitcoin? I mean, truthfully, guys, like I think the obvious level is something like this. Okay. And I know that, some people might not like to hear this. This is like, I mean, this is our 4,300 loops. This is our equivalent to 4,300 level, like 25K equals 4,300. Okay. Like this is that level in
It's
my
your
opinion.
consolidation above liquidity.
Yeah. So
it'll get there at some point, but it just when is kind of the hardest thing to decide on.
So you remember when I drew this for equities and I said this was mega demand for equities at 4,300? Again, for me, this is our mega demand for Bitcoin. So it's like, I think if we see equities, again, do this, come down to its mega demand, you'd probably see Bitcoin come back to its mega demand. But the difference here is that Bitcoin actually came back to retest its mega demand. It's 2022 mega accumulation. Bitcoin had a textbook retest, and then you could also make the argument we've seen Bitcoin leading equities. So maybe equities are like right here, and they're about to do the retest that I drew out and then bleed down. And Bitcoin's on a mission of its own.
To add to that, Max, like I would say like mega bulls could make the argument that it was retested also. And I'm not saying like everybody's in that same boat. And I'm not saying they're wrong either or they're right. But I am saying that they could make that argument that it was retested already mega demand for Bitcoin. Mega bulls,
for Bitcoin?
Right? Mega bulls, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, you
and could. Arguably, too, another thesis to your SPY, if you can go back to your SPY chart real quick. What would be your thoughts if you just traveled sideways into that normie trend?
That'd be so annoying, but definitely like, I mean,
that's what I was wondering too, actually, because
I'm just throwing it out there for a thought,
I feel like it makes more sense to just short something like an altcoin versus the S&P, because the S&P could just go sideways and grind into, I remember we've talked about that before. I like the setup from a PA standpoint, but it could take longer than expected to get there through theta decay and just chop.
Yeah, you know how many shorts along we get destroyed if S&P just were literally ran sideways for that period of time to get to that trend? You'd be destroying both sides of the market.
It's possible Bitcoin's been leading, which we've seen it do before. So below is Bitcoin. Here's our normie trend right here for Bitcoin. Here's our mega demand. Oops. Here's our mega demand right here. Like, what if Bitcoin's been leading and, ES does something like this right here to come back and retest its mega demand? Like, it could literally just do this, just like Bitcoin did, and then it moves up again.
And not come back to that mega demand zone.
Yeah, so it's like basically equities right now would be, and let me delete this. I don't need that squiggle on there. What if equities right now, and again, we've seen Bitcoin lead equities by months at times, topping and bottoming. What if equities right now are like right here? And we don't see like a major drop, but it basically, just kind of like doesn't do a whole lot and just cools off, maybe bleeds a couple hundred points or something like that, and then does, boom.
The theta decay on those puts would be insane, because like you'd have people putting short dated puts and they would get destroyed.
Oh, for sure, man. That might be it.
Support. Yeah, that'd be brutal if you were a bear.
Yeah. Doing short dated puts right here is the wrong position to be taken on this market. You should definitely, I think you got to play at least. Do anything.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I mean, I think you got to play at least a few months out, truthfully, just to be conservative. You're not going to hit the crazy, like, option expansion 10x type of move, but it's like, I think it's more probable that we just kind of grind and chop than have anything like why would we have like a crazy drop? I don't I mean, we could, right? Like if Powell does something, or
It would have to be a black swan event to get it to drop like that. Really, in my opinion, I really think it would. And I don't bet on black swans. So since I don't bet on black swans, I couldn't take that trade as a short dated trade.
here's the thing, though. I mean, looking at like the time of this move, right? Let's draw out the end of the year. All right. So here's the end of the year right here.
Sideways all the way to it, bro. All the way to it, just sideways with a little dip somewhere in the middle.
Imagine that. See
With a
that I
little
feel
dip
like
in the middle.
I think I want to see higher prices going into the end of the year. I mean, it's a pre-election year. I feel like I'd like to at least get this pullback if we're going to get one out of the way by like, yeah, I mean, I'd say like early November, I feel like that should be plenty of time, truthfully. But that would imply, that we start moving down a little bit quicker than really like moving sideways.
Pain is not up or down. That's what a lot of traders get wrong. It's sideways. That's pain. That's real pain.
So on the topic of deciphering directionality, right? In the immediate term here, I think two areas that are probably going to be really important to look at, and we were looking at them last week, right? I would love to look at the dollar, and then I would also love to look at some of the movement in bonds, because the last time we had, I would say, this much volatility in the bond market was in March, right? And that did cause a little bit of turmoil for the market at the time, but eventually, I mean, the rest is history. We ripped right after. It did lead to some unofficial QE within the market.
Look at that rejection at 1035, bro. Sad.
I wouldn't call it a rejection yet. I wouldn't call it a rejection yet.
That's a pretty nasty wick.
A very important ticker to follow this week.
And guys, real quick, before we start talking about DXY and we continue the discussion, it would be fantastic if you guys could smash that like button for us. Just hit that thumbs up for us real quick. Apparently, it does wonders for the robot. It does wonders for the algorithm. It really helps boost the channel. Thank you guys so much again for being here. If you could just take one quick moment and hit that thumbs up button for us, be so greatly appreciated. But I think this could be a serious headwind for risk. This would line up, with the seasonality we're talking about, where, I mean, if we pull up, see if I can get the continuous on here. So here's ES, which we were talking about, right? So we were just talking about, 4,300 being like our mega line in the sand right here. So this is ES again. It would certainly make sense. I mean, look at this correlation, right? Like we're seeing equities, we're seeing DXY moving up. We're seeing equities moving down. If we see like a sustained, prolonged period where we come up and, retest this level, which again, I think is a really hot level right up here, make a lot of sense. 105, 106, something like that. At the same time, 4,300. I think it's certainly a case to be made, like just set your high time frame, lower high on DXY right up here, so here's your high, set your lower high somewhere up in here. You come back, retest your mega support, 4,300. It's healthy, right? It's healthy. Nothing to freak out about. It's very healthy.
That'd be a pretty mean high time frame swing fail on the dollar as well. If you came up there, popped all those highs, and then immediately sold off.
Oh yeah.
I think I don't know. I have a different view on the dollar. I think if you were to draw a channel where you're at, Max, you're at the top of it.
Remember we were talking about that last week, Will.
Yeah.
The channel that you had for it. We could just, I mean, the dollar could just continue bleeding sideways.
Well, what it is, it's in a bullish structure, but I just think it rejects here, right? This is that area where I would arguably say, like, if you were to throw up an RSI, Max, or I don't know if you can get an RSI on the dollar.
Maybe Will, for you, anything, my man, anything.
I mean, look at where you're at. you're in that kind of higher demand zone on the RSI, while at the same time simultaneously being at the top of channel if you were to draw a channel on the current area of price. Now that doesn't mean dollar has to break all the way down to the bottom of channel. It can break it down to the mid range, right? But I think there's a rejection going on here. Could you draw? Yeah, I was gonna say, could you draw a channel on that?
Yeah, no problem. So where's the channel start? Up here? Or are you talking like right here?
So. Yeah, you can go go low to low, high to high. Yeah, that's fine. You can go high to high there. And then just drag that down to your lows. Really, I would say actually go low to low. Sorry.
Talking over here.
Yep. And then you can just drag that up from there. Kind of like right in there a little bit. Maybe down a little bit. Now you're angling it too much.
Let's do this. Let's redraw like this. Let's start this low.
Yeah.
Like
probably on the
low.
weekly be easier. Yeah. Weekly definitely be easier. Yeah, right in there. And you can see it
channel.
there. Yeah, it's a pretty clean channel from there. And really, you could bring it up to the bodies on everything on the weekly. So drag that up further on the bottom. No, not that. Yeah, that way. Yeah. Now like drag that all the way up.
All the way to the left more?
Yep. Same angle. No, I'm just saying. Like now pull your low down on your right a little bit. Now pull your left up a little bit on the bottom. Focus on the bottom.
I see.
Now right down just a little bit. There you go.
This is your fit right here.
So that's your fit of where price is kind of just playing, right? And arguably either you reject here or you break out, but that's a bullish channel. I want to be very clear on that. Regardless of whether price continues to break down, this is a bullish dollar, 100%. And that's a higher time frame weekly. Yeah. It just doesn't break out here, does it break out later, right? And that's why I like the weekly. The weekly's just been so clean across the board on everything. It's just been that easy to play, easy ride all the way down.
If the dollar does get a rejection here, you're going to definitely. I mean, I can't imagine that you don't see a strong response from Bitcoin.
You've had multiple weeks where they try to break out of this area on the weekly, but then they just end up getting crushed back underneath and closing below.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that. Interesting. A little bit of confluence, right?
We had a comment from Gaming with, I don't want to butcher your name, but thank you for the comment. 200 SMA on the daily. Interesting little spot there. Confluence at the top of the channel.
You know how I feel about moving averages and support and resistance, Max.
I know.
Yeah, I don't use them as that either, but
it's a hot take.
I do think the dollar is in a downtrend, which the moving average reflects.
Right. Yep.
I think that's the most important thing to glean from that, for sure. You can see the actionability of it on a higher time frame.
Yeah. And that's what I think a lot of people like. Even though the smaller ones are great for trading, I think like focusing on the higher gives you a better idea of where you're at and whether you should be long or should be short, right? And then you could take it down to lower time frames once you kind of figure that out. I do think there are definitely horizontals, resistances, Max. The issue I'm having with the horizontal right now is you haven't broken any of those highs. If you look at any of those highs daily, any of those weekly, you're basically forming lower highs, right? Trending down. Until you get a higher high on a structural trend, there's no reason to call for higher. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It just, I mean, it's just,
you got to violate that 105 area, I'd say. Like, see, draw a line from that 105. Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
right
right
in
here.
there. Yep, yep. If you can break above that, yeah, your trend is probably switching, right?
I
But
think
you
this
need
is
to get above
ultimately
that.
a short squeeze, whether we sweep those highs or not. I think it's a short squeeze on the dollar.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think too. That's exactly what I think. I think this is a squeeze in the price, and if they can get up to that 104 and that 104.5, 104.8, whatever that is, and they can flip that support, I'm on board, Max. I'm on board all day. Like I'll take the short position from there, and I think ultimately volatility will press us into that higher range, and we'll be able to make some money on the shorts. But like until we see that, like I have to take this as a short squeeze, which means
Yeah,
that you should be
I
looking
just
for
don't know if
longs.
I would call it like a squeeze. I mean, we're just still ranging. Like everybody's very eager to call like a big direction with it. I'm more interested in just playing like little moves that come about. I mean, look at this very clearly defined range that we're in right here. Like
Yeah, but
I
that's
just don't.
it's exactly what you said. Ranging is a squeeze, right? You're squeezing both directions.
Right, but
You're
I don't
like
think it's like
squeeze
I think
short,
that
squeeze longs.
like this was a squeeze, man. Like this was like I mean serious
Oh yeah,
rotation.
dude,
Like
that was a
this is
wipeout.
just
That's what
like
that was. This is a wipeout, bro.
yeah. I would.
Wipe
I mean,
people
we don't
out.
need to get caught up in definitions, right? Like what's a squeeze, what's not.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
I think
get you.
this is just like a healthy ranging environment, So like during a lull in the market or potential period of risk off, like why would it,
Hagrid says euro.
after a sweep of like the range low, a very high time frame range low again, like so clean, deviation. This was your bear trap. Why would we not have a little bit of expansion, to some other levels up here? Like, why would we not even come back to like, some of these, oops, these are just such obvious levels to hit here, like what after a move, this was clearly like, yes, maybe it was a squeeze, right? But like, this is your trap. That was DXY bear trap right there. Broad as daylight, right below range low. Once we reclaimed, we should get some expansion out of that. Like, there's no reason why we couldn't get some expansion out of that. But
So if we lose the pivot, I think let me see exactly where that is on the screen. If we lose the pivot at 102, I think it's probably gonna nuke.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
hard.
if it nukes,
I would
man, that
agree.
means shit's gonna rip. It is
I would
going to
agree.
rip.
I would agree. Tucker said,
Euro.
do I have it on here? I might have it under I can't remember. I was looking at it the other day.
Sounds like Tucker's interested in
List.
fake narratives.
Yeah, here
No,
I was poking around with it the other day. What is this? Oh, I was drawing some correlations, but oh wait, let's pull up the Bitcoin chart again. Hang on, there was a nice little correlation the other day. Let's delete all this. Let's see if there's still
is
a
triple
correlation.
top, boys.
The euro was leading Bitcoin. I don't know if it's still doing it or not. We're gonna figure this out on stream, but it was
Bitcoin has not made that move down equivalent to what the euro has done, in my opinion.
That's because Europe doesn't invest in crypto, so it doesn't matter.
The Europe sells all my coins, man, every day. I don't know if my friend
they don't invest, they exit liquidity. That's what they do.
My friend Polly had a great tweet about it where like every weekend the Europeans sell the on-chain tokens just for Americans to bid them on Sunday when they wake up. Every single time.
It's a guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm not seeing like that. I'm not seeing like much of a lead lag here, but interesting to see this move happen here. I'm not sure what kind of signal to derive from it, but I mean, there's definitely like a correlation to a degree, right? Just simple price action, like bottom, Bitcoin bottoms, top here, euro tops, top. I don't know. Like, there's something there, right? But the question is like, what time frame do we want to try to carry this trade with?
The drawdown seems like it's becoming less and less for Bitcoin to euro. So it's almost like I hate use. I'm going to use it, but don't use this on a regular, guys. Like if you're just a regular retail, don't use this word. It seems like it's decorrelating a little bit.
Ooh.
So
why can't they use that word?
Because people use it wrong, man. They're like decouple, decorrelate.
It's
and they just
definitely
start throwing stuff
overused.
out there. Yeah.
It's definitely overused.
Like when people sit there and say, "Oh, crypto decoupled from traditionals," it's like, no, it's lead or lag, bro. It's not decoupled. Look at the moves. You know, Nvidia obviously led the market. It was the leader. The rest lagged.
The lead lag.
This is interesting.
It's catchy.
Lead lag. It's never decoupled. Liquidity is liquidity. It flows between all markets.
This is an interesting high time frame chart here. Very, very interesting high time frame chart here on the euro.
Me even saying that at times can be very controversial, but it is what it is.
It's never stopped you before, Will.
Don't care. It's like when people are there trying to like build following on Twitter. I'm just like, follow me if you want to. I'm gonna keep it real every single time though. I'm not here to
very
like
interesting.
Build the case for bulls or bears. I'm here to make money.
This is interesting.
That is interesting. Big
I
level.
mean, you're to be honest, I would arguably say you're back in demand. Right?
I would probably be waiting for like this, truthfully.
Potentially, yeah, but you've also got a higher low there too, if that holds. If that low holds. Right? From previous drawdown over there.
Oh yeah, like, no, you're back in demand. Like I'm not gonna argue that. Like this is pretty clearly demand right here. Like this is good. You know,
you tapped it, you bounced.
I don't think you need to go all the way back down, but at this point, I'd be looking, very, very, again, this is a 2-week chart. I'd be basically looking for price to come back in. You'd probably take out some of these lows right in here. Do something like this,
it
come
seems
back
like,
down and then move up.
To me, it seems like euro's kind of lagging dollar. Because if you draw the same channel on this one, low to low.
There's a lot of lows on here. Which one are you talking about? Like up here?
The two majors. The one where you dipped in demand and then the one where you drop down over there. Yep. And drag it all the way up. No, not that one. No. The downtrend lows.
Like down here?
Yep. There to to there. Now drag that all the way up like we did with the dollar.
Bruh.
I'm just saying, bro.
I don't like doing that. No offense. The reason is like it just ignores all of like what do you do about this?
I'm not ignoring that. I'm just saying the lows are trending in the same area.
I'll give you this. I would give you this. I can't go all the way up there. It's too sloppy.
All right, that's fine. We can go with that. We can go with that. That's fine. But either way, we're in that area, right? And if you were to go again, bodies to bodies on the weekly, I bet you can get the same lineup you got on the dollar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I think that
like which arguably would mean euro up while dollar down. It's a transfer of liquidity across two different currencies.
This is interesting right here as well. Let me see. This block. That's interesting. In theory, we should just bounce in here.
But to be clear, Max, like draw low to low and bring it all the way to the highest point. Because I think you do have a point. I think it just comes in later.
We had a pretty interesting comment I'd like to put up on the screen here. All of you are nothing but dumb and ignorant sheeple suckered into Bitcoin Ponzi. If you had any intelligence, reading the Bitcoin white paper would show you that Bitcoin is not Bitcoin.
Wow, man.
It's very helpful.
We're discussing
that's why we do this show that's why we do this show for helpful comments like that. Thank you, Kooky.
Is it Kooky or Kooky?
A very salient point from Kooky. Wow.
Look, okay.
Real Bitcoin is Bitcoin Cash. We all know that. But
Kooky,
he's a Craig Wright fanboy.
Look, we understand your your intelligence level and your need to come out and tell the world that Bitcoin is not Bitcoin. But I can tell you one thing that maybe you should look into. This is not at all being facetious, but liquidity is liquidity. And if you can trade charts, it doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin, doesn't matter if it's the rocks in your neighbor's yard, doesn't matter if it's some poop over on the side of the street. If somebody's willing to trade it and liquidity is moving, you can trade the asset and make money on it. Ponzi, no Ponzi, use, no use, doesn't matter.
Kookie, let me tell you something, man. I'm more than happy to hear and entertain any argument from anybody at just about anything. But to come into the chat and open with, all of you are nothing but dumb and ignorant sheeple, is not really, it's not really opening the floor to any sort of constructive debate. You're clearly just trying to antagonize in an almost like, just like a disrespectful way. So if you have a point to make, I would urge you to potentially come up with a new approach. If you disagree with somebody, politely say, hey, look, here's something I'd like to bring to the topic of discussion. I think that you guys are seeing this the wrong way, and here's why. You don't lead with an insult, because then people turn their ears off. They don't want to listen to you. They just put their hands up, and then we're up here poking fun at you. Wow, like, can't believe this random guy just came in here and called us dumb and ignorant for thinking that Bitcoin's cool.
Hey, I say we give him a second chance, guys.
All right, Kookie, you get a second chance, man. Plead your case right now, man. But you gotta be polite about it. You can say what you want, but you can't come in and lead with insults, man. It's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. It doesn't make people want to listen to you. You could have the most profound argument of all time, but if you lead with an insult, a personal insult, rather than something constructive, based around your argument or your thesis, no one's going to take you seriously. So, Kookie, you get a second chance, man. But you got to be polite. Yeah.
How many assets have you traded and not looked at their books, whether they're cooked or not? I'm just asking, like stocks, even, right?
I'm not a fundamental investor at this point in my life. I would say a majority, I don't actually dive into their fundamentals or even their earnings. I'm a technical trader right now.
You know what? Go ahead and pull up what was it? Carvana. It's going to be in chapter 11. Go and pull up that chart real quick, Max, if you could.
You want which chart?
Carvana.
Dude.
I mean, hey, we're talking about this thing's not this thing, fundamental, yada yada. Pull up Carvana real quick.
I gotta have it somewhere on here. It's at $40. What?
If anybody in the chat could tell me any fundamental reason why Carvana, which is probably going to be in chapter 11, right, is at where it's at with price, and this is why we shouldn't have traded it. Go ahead and make your case. We're more than willing to listen to that.
This is an ugly looking chart,
because arguably this is the discussion that Kookie is having, talking about fundamental white paper, yada yada. This is called liquidity. We are trading liquidity. That's what we are doing.
It's an enlightening day when you wake up and realize that everything, including the stock market, is basically just one giant Ponzi.
Correct.
Maybe even more so the equity markets than crypto, believe it or not. It's all just debt stacked on top of debt, stacked on top of debt, stacked on top of derivatives-based products that influence price.
And then 10x debt on that.
You can't overthink it, and like we've had guys on spaces, I don't want to name any names necessarily. They're almost too smart and they interpret data too literally for their own good. And they get hung up on their bias because they're correct. The way that they're interpreting the data is correct, but it's not being reflected in price. So when people are out here on Twitter saying, we're about to experience like the everything bubble collapse, like this is like we're living through like the biggest debt bubble, future debt crisis of all time. They're not wrong. They're not wrong. It's just what they're underestimating is that they're just going to keep stacking debt on top of debt. And we're not going to see a 90% correction in the equity markets. If the debt bubble popped, we would, but it's not going to, not in that capacity. We'll have pullbacks for other reasons.
I think that's a very, very salient point there, Max, is that Cookie said what you're doing is trading, which is gambling, and arguably you investing period is gambling, right? Like any company could go under at any time and take all your liquidity with them. A lot of people don't understand that. Look at Enron, look at many others, right? Like it's just like all these you really don't have a point here. You have none. Trading and investing, they're not that different from each other. They're really not. Just trading is more short term, whereas investing is more long term. But those long term gains can be taken away just by an Enron situation happening, which happens more often than people actually think when you invest in individual stocks, just like when you invest in crypto and everything else. These are just, it's part of the game. You get liquidity or you lose liquidity. All of this investing and everything else, it's all a game, but it's a game to beat inflation. That's really the more intelligent way to look at this, as opposed to this is the white paper of this, or this is the statistics of this, balance sheet on this company, or any of this stuff. Like it's just you gotta be more enlightened, or I guess a little more open minded when investing in general, right? Again, we just discussed this, Cookie, Cucky, whatever your name is. Again, for the 1,000th time. Okay,
It's all good, man. Look,
investing in a company that collapses is not investing. It's the same potential with trading. That's all I'm really gonna say about it. It's just I'm not.
Look, man, we're a little bit more focused right now on trading, trading and looking for trades than we are like long-term investing. But look, if Bitcoin's not your cup of tea, that's okay. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others. It's no big deal. I'm not going to tell you that you're dumb for thinking what you do. You probably have, reasons to think that, and it makes sense for you. So for me, I plan to be a long-term investor in Bitcoin. I don't necessarily believe in some of these theories that it was like created by the Bitcoin is not Bitcoin. All right, no, it's cool, man. Like it doesn't work for you, then that's fine. Go buy Bitcoin Cash or BSV or whatever you want.
Let's cover. Look at Crypto Oko. Look at what he said. And I think that's a great salient point too. It's not just up or down. You can hedge either direction, right? So if you think your company is going to go under, hey, hedge it with some puts. But you can put shorts and longs on at the same time. It's not like somebody's just going to come in and pull all the liquidity one day.
I mean, I just kind of view it from the standpoint of investing is looking to capitalize on conviction over like a very long period of time, right?
Yep.
To really see through the growth or fall essentially of a company. And I view trading as the way that we try to capture the moves in between, right? It's a way of ultimately, and I think you have to view trading from the lens that you can't just be a trader. You have to be an investor first. And I think that's especially true in crypto. And a mistake that I think a lot of people who are beginning as traders make is, they want to be kind of all in or all out of the market. The freedom to be a trader feels more comfortable than the feeling of being an investor, especially after 2022 when everybody just watched their bags, get absolutely hammered. But as 2023 has shown us the importance of remaining an investor first, at least as far as how you approach the market, at least, that's kind of how I view it. And I think trading, people can view it as gambling if they want, but there are loads of different ways that you can put on trades to potentially look to extract value, which is what this is. It's like extracting value from trends, extracting value from moves. And the gamble part is only if you can't define your risk, quite frankly. I like to say I structure my trades from a risk standpoint, not risk on my account, but risk, like I size in units, right? So just for example, you long or short 10 Bitcoin. After 200 points, you've lost $2,000. That's how I kind of structure my risk. And so when I have an idea, or I can see the way that a trend is moving, I don't have to figure out my take profit before I take the trade. And I think, quite frankly, when you set your trades totally off your take profit, you're just going to skew. You're just going to get in your own head because you're going to greedily probably chase that take profit, even if the trade is beginning to invalidate itself.
Yeah, I like I like that thesis for sure. Like I honestly don't want to entertain this conversation. I feel like this person's a troll. Yeah. Anyways,
I
like
think hang on. I think he's serious. Like I think he came in a little bit hot, but I think he's serious, you know? And like I'm open to hearing the argument. I just, you know, we don't really have a way to effectively and efficiently like feed in the argument because we're going to be talking and he's going to be typing out paragraphs. So, I mean, look, I from what I can see, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, no doubt Bitcoin
his
has,
argument, he just destroyed himself. He literally said BlackRock, blah blah blah, and Marcus
yeah,
basically told him they
whatever, man.
applied for an
Let's
ETF.
focus on the charts, man. We don't need to get into this now. Cucky, if you want to come on the show sometime and you know you're not gonna come on really hot and just you know spew profanities, send us a DM, man. We're happy to have you on to have a quick debate on what you're talking about. But yeah, I don't really think we can do it right here in the comments. But
No.
you know, let's look at some setups here, man. This one was brought to my attention by not only Tommy Snorlax on here, but also Trader XO. I tweeted at XO and I said, "You've inspired me to start trading Matic. This man is an absolute menace. You know, Polygon team must just hate him because he has made so much money shorting them this year because he's a hell of a trader." But also Tommy or Snorlax here today. He's one of the best Matic traders that I've ever seen. So XO replies to me and he says, you gotta put OP on your bully list as well. So I started charting OP. And I kind of like what I'm seeing here. It's showing a lot of weakness against Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's when it breaks down, it's very quick to slide. And I'd be looking for something like this, truthfully. I'd be looking for something like this potentially if Bitcoin is going to start turning around. Maybe we take out some lower levels here this week or next week or something like that. Or maybe even not. You know, this is one of those altcoins where if Bitcoin is at a fork in the road or a point of indecision, certain altcoins will just puke as soon as Bitcoin pulls back 50 points and the market thinks that it's going to pull back more. There are altcoins that do not behave very bullishly when Bitcoin is at a fork in the road. And I think this is one of them. So yeah, I mean, I'd be looking, I'm very interested in like 161 and above on OP, potentially targeting sub 140, truthfully. We lost our very clear normie trend. We've got a 2-day inefficiency that I think we could pop back into. And then, you know, even breaking it down more, like, you know, this is just kind of a low time frame range, right? We could draw something like this. See if I can get that to click on.
You got fundamental catalyst for this one too, Max. The fact that base chain the launch of base chain wasn't, I don't think, the success that a lot of people thought it would be. Or at the very least, you know, you're seeing some sell the news play out in the price. But
yeah, no, for sure. I think it's a good one. Like it's a good one that if Bitcoin or like the total crypto market cap begins to slide and pull back a bit, this one should definitely puke more. This one should bleed against Bitcoin, no doubt. No doubt.
It's really interesting because I look at Polygon, right? And I look at Arbitrum and I look at Optimism. Optimism is arguably operating, and this is really odd to me, but it's arguably operating at the same TVL as Polygon Matic, which is really interesting, right? And when I look at Arbitrum, it's operating at 2 times the TVL of Matic and Polygon. I mean, sorry, Matic and Optimism. If you look at TVL, not saying TVL means everything because again, we don't know the timeline of each lock period, but it's definitely an interesting thing that Arbitrum is continuing to lead the way in TVL against these two. And arguably, I would say Polygon is the giant here, right? Polygon's been I guess the VC baby of 2021. It was the one everybody wanted to pump. And now we're looking at a lot of TVL going to Arbitrum and not a lot of attention going to Arbitrum. So, I mean, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that there, Snorlax?
Yeah, I mean, Matic's definitely, I think, suffering above all from, you know, it's losing. I like to call it brain space because it's so important in crypto. You know, are you on are people paying attention to your project? Because that's ultimately the most important thing that's going to determine whether or not price pumps. And you do have, more and more of these, at least more exciting narratives here in the form of Arbitrum tokens. You have optimism tokens. And then even on a more basic level, right, you have Ethereum that has become, just this playground for shitcoining. And it has not been very favorable ultimately to Matic, who hasn't, there really haven't been any developments on chain for Matic. Looks like they're kind of relying on this announcement to change the token name, I think, to pump it, fresh chart, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I think that's probably the smartest thing at this point, but I expect Matic to probably be weak against other layer ones and layer twos for the rest of the year. That just kind of makes sense to me, unless you see something fundamentally change, not only with, announcements, but shifts in the way that people view Matic. I think like if you were to take a poll of sentiment right now, I think it would reflect the downtrend that you're seeing on a higher time frame.
What are your thoughts on I guess just the overall Arbitrum TVL just being so significantly higher than both of these chains?
Oh man, I like Arbitrum, man. They are kind of like, Wabi's right in the sense that Arbitrum is kind of like Atom in that it gives a lot of grants in its own token, which can put some pressure on ARB. But I love people are using the chain. Like, that's the most important thing. There is liquidity there. Even after the airdrop has been had, liquidity has remained sticky on Arbitrum. So at the very least, there's a core user base that has remained loyal, even after, the financial incentive to remain there is essentially gone. Because a lot of these Arbitrum shitcoins have not really performed that well, with the exception of BTC. But liquidity has remained pretty sticky there.
That's what I've noticed too. Is I've noticed that project development probably not the greatest, but liquidity continues to stay. So it makes me eerily think that this is some kind of front run going into the next market, right? The next bull run of basically VCs or money backers stepping in and kind of showing their conviction to the play to other money backers, more than likely. Because I think when
this level. They've really defended this level for sure.
Yeah, it's very interesting when it comes to Arbitrum. So I wanted to bring that up because I find that really interesting. And arguably, I would say if you go like down to that bottom wick there, Max, like you're in that demand zone, man. That you're there. I would say down there. Yeah, that's where I would be looking for support to remain. I mean, obviously, if that support were to go, you would obviously go a lot deeper. You can come in and retest that low. I think just a lot of people missed the boat around 90 cents, man. But I was in pretty deep there. I got in at 90 cents. And I think just a lot of people missed that boat. It's for me, it was a pretty obvious level that I think a lot of people just didn't pay attention to. But obviously, if you look over there at the run up, we can come down deeper for sure. But yeah, it's interesting. You know what it reminds me of, Snorlax or Tommy? What? It reminds me of BNB.
Of what?
Really does. BNB.
Yeah.
Like the initial moves on BNB where it just refused to come down and recapture that liquidity that was much lower. And then, into the next market, it just exploded after 2020, man. It just went. And they were just like full send. And I could see Arbitrum doing that into the next bull.
I wonder how Arbitrum is perceived by investors in the next bull run, given its valuation. Like the valuation, it might limit the upside, but it could encourage, because of the liquidity and the depth of it, it could encourage larger players to invest.
Even developers, right? Because if developers see liquidity there being locked away, as the market starts to return, you could see developers start to move to Arbitrum because that liquidity is there. So it's definitely an interesting coin to be watching for sure.
Yes, it is. I'm a fan of ARB. I like it more than Optimism from a network standpoint.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I you know what's funny? I've heard a lot of people say that. I've heard a lot of people say they like ARB much better than OP from a usability standpoint.
My experience is maybe a little bit skewed because I have a a fat bag of a Arbitrum token, but it's okay.
I understand why. Believe me. Got something, Max, that you want to throw in there?
I'm just playing around with the chart a little bit, try to make it clear so people can see it. I mean, it's possible this is kind of what we're looking at here. Yeah, I don't really have a ton to add, but I mean, this is definitely something that I'll probably consider holding next cycle. I think there's a lot of, I mean, mainly there's just a lot of eyes on it. I think, Will, you mentioned, I think it was maybe Tommy. Like, you could have the greatest product in the world, but if there's not eyes on it, there's not people talking about it, who cares? You're going to be beat by a subpar product 10 times out of 10. But there's a lot of eyes on Arbitrum, a lot of big names talking about it, and it's functional, mainly. So, yeah, I mean, I'll take a bet on it. I'm not sure I'm ready to accumulate quite yet. I'm just kind of drawing some levels here, but for me, it's more of a trying to time the whole market kind of thing. Like, I'm less concerned with price right now and more concerned on, I want to try to purchase, even if it's slightly higher than here, at the very tail end of where I think accumulation is, so that I don't have to wait too long for expansion.
Oh yeah. I get what you're saying. You're trying to get in before the expansion, but not be in too early, so you're not sitting.
And yeah, because I mean, this could be the floor, right? Like, we could literally sit here between, like, a dollar and $1.30 or $1.20 or something like that for another
6 months,
year.
Another year, yeah.
I don't want to sit there and have to manage a bag like that. So I think for me, it's going to be trying to time it out a little bit more with majors, like a Bitcoin and ETH, when I think equities are, maybe going to get on the horse again. And that's probably when I'll start packing a little bit. It wouldn't be a bad buy here necessarily if it's something you think about long term, but I'd rather have the money just sitting earning interest, or have the liquidity available to day trade with.
You want to have more liquidity when it comes time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I would say too, Mark Harris was asking about algo. I'll tell you this, on algo, I'm a big algo bull. I know there's not a lot of people that are right now. There's a lot of people who argue against it, and I understand why, and I understand the whole VC thing and all that stuff like that, but it just, man, the demand zone on algo is just insane. It's just there. It just keeps holding that ground there. If you were to look at the lows here, Max, arguably you double bottomed and you just continue to play that low. Very, very much like Arbitrum, right? Like, Arbitrum's kind of established a low, and really, I would say our algo is right there too with it.
Maybe.
The wick is kind of where I've established the bottom here, and yeah, you could arguably say the body candle there was a lower low, but the wick is definitely holding that range. So until you violate that, like, I can't really arguably say this isn't like the low end range. Yeah, it could deviate too. You're right. You're not wrong on that.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any strong opinions on it.
Yeah, it's still in that bear trend down. Yep, exactly. So that's a very salient point too. I think a lot of people got to pay attention to.
But when you put it in normal, not log,
bro, if you put it in that and you just think about the upside potential on that, like, that's pretty nutty. That's pretty nutty.
Yeah, but
if you take log off.
But the topic of brain space, Will, what brings brain space back to algo?
I see a lot of big accounts talking about it, man. It's not like they're pumping it and put people to come in and exiting on them. Like, it's like people are just continually filling their bags on this on that position.
I don't know if that's true or not, Will. I don't. Oh, here, let's do this.
I mean, TVL looks bleak. I won't lie about that. 100% TVL.
I mean, dude, look at this bleed against Bitcoin, man. Like, why would I even? Could you play for a move like up to here? Yeah, you could definitely play like. You could play a dead cat bounce or something like that. That's a huge move, but
it does, man. I'm telling you. But always look. I'll tell you this. Look, we'll call it the retail's hero. Cardano was the retail's hero, and if you'd have bought Cardano at the lows at 2 cents and then sold it at $3, your exponentials were ridiculous. And I could arguably say I could see algo being one of those where it just has its moment, and then, a blink of an eye and you get in, get out type scenario. So to me, it's worth having a bag in.
Always
It's
love
an
those.
operating chain that has money.
Always love
What's
those coins that you always love those coins that erase like a year of downtrend in one 3-day candle.
Yep. Look at Cardano. Look, what'd it go from like $1.20 to like $3 in like almost a week? Some stupid amount.
You guys seeing this? Oh wow, this is
It's a big
perfect.
bounce.
This is perfect.
Mm.
Oh my goodness.
I used to trade that coin.
Wow.
It used to be great to trade, actually.
Wow, this is one hell of a move. Why were we not on top of this one? I haven't had this on my watch list in a long time.
I think I had that
Rune,
level marked out. I just forgot about Rune.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did. I did too, included. I forgot all about it too. There's a lot of coins in the space. I think there's just so many. It's hard to track them all. Just like in the stock market, man. It's just
We can't miss moves like this, guys. This was a big one. We got a big enough team. What happened here? I don't think anybody's talked about Rune.
no.
Look at this thing. Wow. I mean, this little maneuver here is kind of nice. I mean, it would have been just like a little scary to bid this, but this level, this was a hot level. You could have easily done something like this.
Goose. I've been paying attention to ICE for sure. ICE is one of those ones. Snorlax knows about ICE too. It's one of those ones.
Oh my god. Ice.
It's not one to sleep on.
The
Could
Danny
easily done
coins.
something like this.
Yeah. Watch and see Snorlax. Watch and see if it doesn't get a revival in the next market.
Dude, this was kind of a nice setup here.
You're gonna make me buy a Danny coin again. Don't
That
do
was
that.
textbook. That was so textbook.
Hey, pull up ICE real quick. Snorlax
Okay.
wants in. He wants in. He's knocking on the door.
Oh no, he doesn't. These coins were such a ride.
Oof, look at that. Look at it.
It's a little
You
wiki.
know you want in, Tommy. Yeah, it's always wiki. It's always
What does
wiki.
spell look like? That might be a little more interesting to me.
This looks pretty brutal, man. Honestly, this is all supply. Like all of this right here, this buying turned to supply. Like this is not. This ain't it, man. This is ugly.
Yeah, pull up spell.
Yeah, this ain't it. Everybody right here is just puking.
Well, you got to keep in mind, Max, these are like bottom of the bucket picks. Like these are like bottom of the bucket.
What was the next one you wanted to see?
Spell. That's the other one you're scraping. You're scraping the bottom for what's
I mean,
left.
this coin probably looks like trash if I had to guess.
What
Just so
exchange
you
do you
guys-
want me to look at it on?
Just set a stream notes. We're not
Finance.
telling people to buy these. Like these are just like ultra high risk plays.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you drew a normie trend on the bottom here on the lows, you might catch a trend line there for a bounce.
This was one of my favorite shit coins of all time to
It
play.
looks like it's holding. Yeah,
The
look at
narrative
that.
was so easy.
Look at that,
You had
Tommy.
Danny, you had a coin that was going to flip Maker, which was about like 10 to
You got
20x
room.
higher. It had great unit cost bias, a great dev, great Ponzi-nomics.
That looks good. Oh my god, what is that? Weekly,
Here's
Hold on, go back.
5-day.
bro. Look at the bull freaking div here. Look at the bull div. Look at the bull div. I love bull divs, man. That is a clean one too. Look how clean that is, bro.
Yeah, that actually is kind of nice.
That is very clean. That's a very clean diversion right there,
You going to make me buy back into Spell?
bro. It looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna put it in my thing.
Man, oh man. Oh, it doesn't seem like a bad idea.
Look at it. Look at it. Even if it bleeds more, like it's telling you there are buyers. Do you know how much this thing will pump if it catches a freaking bid, man? Like that. Dude.
But why would it catch a bid is the question.
The RSI is telling you it don't matter why. Look at the RSI. It's telling you it's going to catch a bid.
I don't know, Will.
Don't ask why. Just look at the signals, accept them, and move forward from there. You know I'm right, Snorlax.
I don't know.
You know
I
I'm
don't know
right.
if I want to go back down that rabbit hole. It was kind of traumatic last time.
So, Will, maybe we wait for something like this. Maybe we wait for one more retest.
You could wait for a retest,
and then maybe it comes back, and if it doesn't make, like
Bro,
a new
if
low
that
right
thing
here,
breaks out though, you're gonna miss the whole move. It's you're gonna jump in way too late.
to see what you just did there, Will. You just tried to induce FOMO, fear of missing out. We can't do that. We can't operate off of FOMO ever.
I'm not a FOMO person. I'm a patient person. FOMO people sell at losses. All right. Patient people buy into positions, wait for the move, and then sell them at profits.
That's true.
Big difference.
All right, Will. So are you buying Spell?
Yeah, I am buying Spell. I don't see a reason not to. Like, I could take some L's on some drawdown. I don't care. I'm not gonna long it or short it. Hell no. But like, I'll definitely buy into it. Ponzi or no Ponzi or whatever.
Max leverage long, in my opinion.
I'll get blown out, guaranteed.
You should net worth. Is that what you said? Net worth long, Tommy?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. That's smart. I mean, it's only responsible.
I almost have no doubt that thing will come back against me if I'm trying long.
This actually looks kind of good. I'm not gonna lie.
You know it's there. You got the falling wedge. You got the lower lows leading into the higher highs on straight. Like,
it's a little overextended, but I mean,
look. You got. There's a point where it's like, okay, what are you scratching? Are you scratching at peanuts or massive drawdown? Right. I would say you're scratching at peanuts here on drawdown. I need to add this. Hold on. Let me go ahead and put it in here quick.
I mean, it doesn't look bad.
But it also has painted a similar pattern multiple times before. I think if you're looking for a reversal, you want to look at something like Ape, which just printed the exact same pattern and is starting to maybe look bullish.
Yeah, but that's a signal that Spell can move. Because I would arguably say Spell and Ape at this point, the way they've been trading, are very similar.
Dude, what even is Spell?
I without saying the word.
I don't even know what this is.
It was MakerDAO and like a fork of MakerDAO essentially, but they cranked up the leverage like crazy. And it had amazing it didn't have great tokenomics, I guess, but it had great unit cost bias. So it was a great narrative. And the dev was so polarizing.
It was a super base trade.
It was one of my favorite ever. Like I said, the whole basket, you had ice, you had time. It was nice to just print on rebases every 8 hours with the ohm forks too. That was just such a great time in crypto.
Now Ape looks a bit overextended. If you're to draw a channel on the RSI, I'd say arguably you're at the highs.
Could break out though. That's so funny.
Yeah,
that chart.
It actually looks like it already broke out. Yeah, I think the breakout's already occurred on that.
Andrew Kang wants me to buy this coin, but Andrew Kang likes to use me for exit liquidity, so
yeah, he does. He gave me a nice sell signal on Pepe a while back.
I had a couple people play me like that.
I know it was pumping over the weekend.
Yeah. Pepe will have its time.
2021, people be like, man, just drop 15 BNB in. You're good. Don't worry about it. And I'm like,
I don't really see much here, honestly. I mean, you could come back, and retest this, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird one, I don't really see a ton here. I mean, we could go lower, and look for some scalps and stuff, but kind of already pumped,
Yeah, from a trade perspective, a long-term investing perspective, you could probably have a different insight on it. But
I think
straight
part
from-
of it is that people think the apes have capitulated fully, the NFTs.
well, look at the chart, right? That'll
It's
tell you
close.
everything.
It's
Yeah,
close.
it's close. It's very close. Very, very close. For sure. I think apes have damn near bottomed as far as the NFTs go. Like, there's only so much pain that's going to happen there, and then there's going to come a point where price has gotten so low that people have lost hope and they're not going to buy it anymore. Which means you're not going to be able to sell it anymore. Which means price can only go up from there.
Concrete.
Look, a pullback the trend though makes sense here, right? You could come down a little more, but definitely a pullback the trend makes sense here.
Dude, this is actually a rare fundamental play where if Elon incorporates tipping into Twitter Spaces and it's with Doge, it's literally just a fundamental bet, that it actually has some sort of utility. I'm drawing technicals, right? But I'm screaming fundamentals, funny enough.
I don't know. Dogecoin isn't Dogecoin according to the white paper.
Who cares?
We'll call that.
Caspa is a gigabid down here, man. I don't think we're gonna get mega demand again.
Not if it's super bullish.
No.
Well, look, I told you guys. Look, told you guys
Right here, 2.5 cents, baby.
2.5
I become
cents.
a Caspa maximalist.
But
right
that's
here.
when I said it was going to reverse. It's 2.5, man. Everybody's like, oh no, it's going to go a little deeper.
He said, she said, we said, price will. It's all that matters.
Hey, price went up.
Did you buy some?
Yeah, I've been in Caspa. That's all we've been talking about.
I'm not in Caspa. I will be in Caspa.
Well, I feel sorry for you.
Save your pity, Will. Save it.
Caspa's an easy one, man. It was one of the easiest ones to play all year. I drew a channel on it. It was just playing the bottom of the channel every single time, roll up to the top. Play the bottom of the channel, roll to the top. I was trading it for a while. I'm just like, why even trade it? Like, it just keeps going up.
You gotta love when alts respect the channels.
Yeah, it's honestly like it's the easiest normie trend out there.
Yeah, it is. We can start to wrap things up though if you guys are about ready. Can close things out maybe and save things for the Giga Chad call later.
Yeah, I'm good.
I wonder. Sometimes I wonder.
How many likes did we get to? Let me check the stream. What did we get to, Max?
31.
31. Wow.
31.
Heck yeah. Is the new range high? 30 likes? Have we hit expansion?
We have. The channel has grown. Our follower base has become such loyal, awesome supporters. You guys are the best. You guys tune in regularly. I think the new range high is 30, man. It's never been an issue to exceed 20, and we got to set the bar higher. You got to always kind of compound, you got to be better. So
vertical accumulation, man. Higher highs, higher lows.
But for longer.
We appreciate your support, guys. As always, thanks for tuning in on this Monday morning. We hope you all had a fantastic weekend and have a fantastic rest of your week. If you enjoyed the stream, we do have some further premium content linked in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the link tree in our Twitter, where you can get access to all of our trades and really, more how we're viewing the market every single day as, it's happening. So, yeah, without further ado, I will leave the rest of your afternoon to you guys. We're going to have fun this week. I can feel it. I can feel the volatility brewing. as Max draws the bear porn fractal.
Up only.
But yeah, guys, stay safe. Have a great week, and we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.